Okay, today we're going to talk about lesson 7.1, finding square roots. A square root of a number is whenever you take a number and you multiply it by itself to get the given number. Every positive number has a positive square root and a negative square root, and we're going to get a little bit more into that in a minute. A perfect square are the numbers where you take integers as their square roots. For example, 1. 1 squared is 1, and so 1 is a perfect square. 3 squared is 9, so 9 is a perfect square because its square root is 3, which is a whole number, it's an integer. Whenever we find the two square roots of a number, one square root is going to be positive and one square root is going to be negative. So when you find the two square roots of 49, they're asking you what times itself is going to give you 49. And we know that 7 times 7 equals 49. Therefore, the square root of 49 is equal to 7. Now that's one answer. They asked for the two square roots. We also know that negative 7 times negative 7 equals 49 because a negative times a negative equals a positive. So the square root of 49 could also equal negative 7. So there are a couple of ways we could write this. We could write our answer as 7 and negative 7. Or we could write this positive negative sign, so we know that it's both positive 7 and negative 7. The symbol that kind of looks like a little division symbol is called a radical sign, and so that's how we know that we're going to find a square root. The number under the radical sign is called our radicand. So, and here's 3 different ways that we're going to see these look. Whenever you have your radical sign with nothing in front of it, they're looking for the positive square root. When they have their radical sign with a negative sign in front of it, they're looking for the negative square root. When they have their radical sign with the positive and negative in front of it, they're looking for both the positive square root and the negative square root. So these ask us to find the square roots, either one square root or multiple square roots. With the square root of 25, there's nothing in front of it, so we know we're looking for the positive answer, and so we say what times what is going to give us 25, and we know that that would be 5. On B, they have the negative sign in front of it, and so we know our answer is going to be negative. Now, when you have a fraction like this, in this case, we're going to take the square root of 9 and the square root of 16 because they're both perfect squares. We know the square root of 9 is 3 because 3 times 3 is 9. And we know the square root of 16 is 4 because 4 times 4 is 16. Now on C, we know we're looking for the positive and negative square root. So we're just going to go ahead and bring that sign over because whatever sign's in front of the radical sign, we know we're going to put in front of our answer also. Now on 225 or 2.25, we can look at this as 225. And if you do a little bit of calculations, you'll figure out that 15 times 15 equals 225. This is a times sign. But we're actually looking for 2.25. So we've got to figure out where can I put a decimal in my problem so that I end up with 2.25. Well, I have 2 places after my decimal in my problem, my answer. So I know I have to have 2 places after my decimal in my problem. So it becomes a 1.5 times 1.5. All right, I'm going to let you pause the video for a second. Try these out for yourself. Whenever you're ready, hit play so you can get your answers. All right, for number 1, 2, and 3, it says find the 2 square roots of the number. So for number 36, you should have gotten positive and negative 6. For 100, it's positive and negative 10. And for 121, it's positive and negative 11. On 4, 5, and 6, it says find the square root or roots. Number 4, they're looking for the negative square root of 1, so that's negative 1. Number 5, they're asking for the positive negative square root of 4 over 25. Both of those are perfect squares. So we just take the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of 25 is 5, and leave that set up as a fraction. Number 16 is kind of like the example we worked on the previous page. If you do a little bit of multiplication, you'll find out that 35 times 35 is 1225. And so you have to put that decimal place in the middle to make sure your decimal place is in the middle in your answer. So you should have gotten 3.5. Now, finding a square and a square root are inverse operations, just like addition and subtraction are inverse operations, and multiplication and division are inverse operations. So whenever we're solving expressions and equations, we can use this information. For example, let's look at A. They want us to evaluate each expression. So we have 5 times the square root of 36 plus 7. So we want to figure out what's the square root of 36. And so we say, what times what will give us 36? Well, it's 6. So we take our expression and we replace the square root of 36 with 6. And then we just follow the order of operations. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 7 is 37. Now on B, we have the square root of 18 over 2. So we're going to bring our 1/4 down and go ahead and evaluate this square root. 18 and 2 are not perfect squares. So when they're not perfect squares, you can go ahead and do your division. 18 divided by 2 is 9. Now notice we did not lose our radical sign. It is still the square root of that number. And so I'm going to come over here to the side. We end up with 1/4 plus the square root of 9 is 3. And 1/4 plus 3 is 3 and 1/4. Now on C, this is where the square roots and squares start canceling each other out. They're inverse operations. So if you take the square root of 81, it's 9. And then you square it, you get 81 again. So basically what happens is the square root and the square cancel out, and you're left with 81 minus 5, which is 76. Go ahead and try 7, 8, 9, and pause the video for a second, try them out, see what you get, and then we'll unpause it and see if you got the right answers. Okay, on number 7, you should have evaluated the square root of 25 and made it 5. And follow the order of operations. 3 times 5 is 15, and 12 minus 15 is -3. On number 8, 28 and 7 are neither perfect squares, so we're going to go ahead and divide that out, and 28 divided by 7 is 4. And if you notice, we did not lose that square root symbol. So we're left with the square root of 4 plus 2.4. Well, the square root of 4 is 2, and 2 plus 2.4 is 4.4. On number 15, this square root and this square cancel each other out, and so we're left with 15 minus 4, which is 11. So I hope that this was helpful and that you learned something about square roots.